Richard Deitsch joining us from Toronto, the Sports Illustrated media critic, columnist. And Richard, thanks for joining us. Give me the philosophy about doing it this way with TNT TBS as opposed to the last, 30 years on CBS?
Dan, good to be with you. I feel like I should be calling you from Smyrna so I could be a TBS video audience member. Turner has had the option to do the selection show based on the contract they signed with CBS. They opted in the past not to do it. They decided to take that option this year with the philosophy that, like you said, people will find it. The difference between something on cable and something on television, on network, is not so great with the exception of viewership where it's great. And I think Turner just wants to put its own stamp on this process. That's why you're seeing a 300-person audience come in. And that's why you're seeing, as everyone has talked about, these changes where the plan is to unveil in the first 10 minutes in alphabetical order all the teams. Then the matchups are slotted into the seeds and the brackets. The teams will be grouped by auto bid and at large. And according to CBS and Turner, they say all of this, including the unveiling of the brackets, will be done within 45 minutes. Where I think they're making a little bit too much of a mistake is that I understand TBS wants to put its own, it's sort of its own spin on stuff, and you can understand that. It's the first time doing this. They're excited. They have a lot of smart people there. And I'm stealing a line from Dan Walken, and I think you've said this on your show earlier, the brackets are the star of the show. Yeah. It's not changing this up to sort of come up with some kind of new, unique format to give us all the teams that are going to be in the tournament. That information in the end is really kind of irrelevant without the bracket part of the show. So if I was an executive, I would have done what CBS did last year. They listened to their viewers. They decided not to extend this for an hour plus. They got the brackets out fast. And then basically, stay with your conviction. Don't worry that ESPN is going to be doing this on their airwaves, and try to keep people tuned to your network because you offer really interesting analysis.
Yeah, I agree with that philosophy here, and I understand that they want to make it theirs, and there's certain things that they're going to try that in 5 years they may not be doing it. But I do want to sell our analysis here, our experts here, and I wouldn't be worried about ESPN, and I would just treat this as how do we do the best possible show instead of saying, oh my gosh, they're going to all leave us, after 32 minutes here. And I think sometimes you can outthink yourself when it comes to these shows.
I think you're absolutely. This is why you should be running networks, Dan. You're absolutely right. In this case, you're correct. I think they're doing a little bit too much because they want to separate themselves from CBS. And here's actually the reason. And you mentioned this at the top a little bit. I have some numbers here that'll sort of back this up. The fact is, because it's on TBS this year, the viewership's going to be the lowest of all time. Yeah. That's just a product of network versus cable. TBS having 23 million less homes than CBS. I looked at the viewership over the last, I'm talking about 9 years now. In 2009, CBS's selection show drew 7 million viewers. Big number. Last year, dropped to 4.8 million. So the audience is leaving. A lot of that has to do with, of course, changing viewership and people migrating from cable to just or network, just to the Netflix world and everything else. So you make the presumption, if I'm TBS, that you're going to lose viewers anyway just because of the changing shape of television. Mm-hmm. Why make such a dramatic change? Why not give the people, at least who have stayed loyal to this selection show, what they want? And it's overwhelmingly clear what they want, and they want brackets quickly. They want to see this stuff on the screen so they could start getting in their minds who they're going to pick for their office pools. And that's where I think some of this blowback, I think Turner, like you said, sort of outthought itself a little bit. There's no need to change, the wheel this dramatic. You could put some nice touches on the wheel, but you don't have to take a motorcycle where you were driving a Ford for a while.
Richard Deitsch, Sports Illustrated media writer. Let me get a Peyton Manning question in there for you, Richard, before I let you go. Is he in play for an analyst job? Does he consider himself in play?
Well, first of all, I think ESPN, Dan, would give Peyton a building. Perhaps they'd even give him the new presidency if he would take this job. I think they really would like him. I think he's more in play this year than he ever has before. He has a very big agent, the Montag Group, that's doing his broadcasting. I'm sure, Dan, you've heard of that. It's a little inside baseball. But Sandy Montag's a guy who's represented very famous people, from Mike Tirico to Bob Costas, et cetera. And so I think Peyton is, from what I understand, I think he's considering this possibility of broadcasting more than he ever has before. But from everything I understand, he hasn't given any indication that he's definitely going to do it. I think if he did decide to do it this year, I think the Fox job would be far more appealing to him than the Monday Night Football job, given travel, given it's on a network, and given that Fox, I think, would be very, very good in terms of giving Peyton whatever he wanted regarding schedule. I mean, Peyton probably could leave that game. I would imagine Fox, they might even have a Fox plane for him, Dan, literally outside of the stadium to flying back wherever he needs to be. So if he ends up doing it, I think Fox would be the only place he would do it this year. But I think I would still bet the under. He's always, and you've interviewed him many times, he's always spoken about something larger than broadcasting, like ownership or management. So I'd be surprised if he actually hit the booth. Do
you think Tony Romo and his impact had any or has any impact on Peyton's future doing this?
I do. Because I think Peyton, who's a very bright guy, saw Tony have such immense success both critically and with viewers in his first year. And Tony was really a product of preparation when it came to broadcasting. And CBS, to their credit, had a great plan. They basically did a camp with Tony where months before he was ever going to go on air, CBS people, including Jim Nance, came down to Dallas. Tony essentially had a broadcasting trainer, which was pretty fascinating to work with him on just the mechanics of the profession. So, yeah, I think Peyton saw that. And if nothing else, said, you know what, there's a guy who did not have any broadcasting reps like me who came in, and he's arguably either the best or the second best NFL analyst working today, depending on how you feel about Chris Collinsworth. So I think that probably did give Peyton at least a little bit of maybe some rethought in terms of, I could come in and do this at a high level the way Tony did. I'm a big Tony Romo fanboy. I think he was tremendous, and I appreciate people who take analysis to the second level just to sort of teach me things about the game. And I thought he was a revelation this year.
Richard, thank you for the insights. We appreciate it. Safe travels back from Toronto.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Dan.
That's Richard Deitsch, Sports Illustrated media critic.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.